Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to another beautiful day. It is Saturday, of course, and we are so excited to bring you Global Morning on Global Television this beautiful day. Happy weekend. I should be saying happy weekend to everyone. As a matter of fact, our weekend is actually seen as a time for people to visit their families, people to do the house call, and don't forget of the party. A lot of people go partying on the weekends. I was trying to ask someone sometimes back to find out why everyone would want to fix weddings, ceremonies during the weekend. And the person said, well, that's when people don't go to work, and a lot of people will have time to attend your event. But now people don't even want the events to be when a lot of people will attend anymore because of the challenging economy that we have. But all the same, it's so good that we still have reasons to celebrate one or two things. And of course, we are so grateful to the federal government, the state government, the local government, at least for being there. All right, they are trying their best, even though some persons will tell you this best is not good enough. We want something better, because Nigerians are looking forward to that time when they can rise up and say, oh, you see, the reason my life is like this, beautiful like this, is because of my state governor. Even though some persons will tell you whatever the governors, the local government council chairman, the president, the senate, and of course the House of Representative members, whatever they do, they will not be able to go around, affect everybody's life. And that's why it's been divided into different local government, different states, different federal government parastatals, agencies, and ministries. Welcome once again. It's good to have you join us on Global Morning today. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and I'll be steering the affairs of Global Morning today. And this weekend, there is one thing we need to know. The news making rounds today. We have the right to know what's happening, okay? Because if you're not informed, of course, you are deformed. And we will be bringing you to speed with everything happening around Nigeria and outside the shores of the country. And Donald Trump is still on top of his game. But then, the issue of taking over Gaza has been making round. A lot of reactions coming from so many angles, different perspectives to it. Then you look at the challenging economy. The fact that fuel price has reduced a little bit is something, but then we've not seen that translate into the fare that's being paid as we commute from one destination to the other, one location to the other. We must commute. As a matter of fact, everyone cannot drive. Even if you have your car, sometimes you would want to commute, do the commercial vehicles and just interact with people. Get to know how it feels to board commercial vehicles. But for some, as a matter of fact, when we talk about commercial vehicle, they'll tell you, I don't need that hurdle, I don't need that stress. So you just see them driving all the time. All the same, I think the difference is the class is there, the class, but then we are all Nigerians, and of course, very soon there will be light at the end of the tunnel, like we're beginning to see. And of course, I think one very important thing that we should applaud the federal government for is the fact that the commissions, all right, North Central Commission, the Southwest, the Niger Delta, all these commissions being approved and coming to stay is one thing, that some people feel it's going to give the people in charge of these regions to do the needful. But then, come to think about it, have you given it a second thought? When there is a proposal for 31 more states, did you think about it? We have 36 states already, and we're talking about 31, meaning we're going to have about 67 or thereabout, 68, states in Nigeria. Then you begin to think, all right, during election has to be conducted in all the states, all right. INEC is already crying that the cost of conducting election is just too much. I could remember during the last off-cycle election, INEC actually came out to complain that the cost of running election has increased because of the challenging economy and because of the exchange rate, because of the price of things in the market, because they also need to get some of these materials from the open market, or probably these things, expenses coming from the coffer of the president. But then what has the budget stipulated for elections in Nigeria? 2027 is when the next election is going to happen again. But then what about the off-cycle elections that we've heard and the ones that we may be having before 2027? All these things put together, then you begin to think about it. 31 more states. It means we're going to have more cost of governance. Like some persons are already complaining that the cost of governance is so much that it needs to be cut down. If we have more states, then politics will become it's already lucrative. It's already lucrative. I'm not saying it's not lucrative, it's lucrative. That's why you see people doing so many things, anything possible to get into politics, to get into political offices. It's either your brother is there, or you want your uncle to be there, or you want maybe your godfather to be there, or godmother, as the case may be, and that link bring food to your table. What will happen if we have 31 more states? We will be thinking about having governors in those states. We'll have ministers from those states. We have House of Representative members from those states. We also will need to have senators that will be representing the various senatorial districts. And of course, you don't forget that we will also have local government council chairmen, and of course, we'll have the councillors too. Then you begin to think about the State House of Assembly. This is so much. I don't know where it's going to come from. Probably the states will be generating their incomes themselves. I don't know. But then I think maybe those proposing the 31 states may come up to tell us reasons, or tell Nigerians rather, the reason why they feel it is necessary. Some person said maybe someone has strategically planned that maybe if that has been done, something good will come and the economy will be stable. But then, if we want to stabilize the economy, is that the best way to go? The economic experts have told us that that, well, we are on the right track just because of the hunger in the land. No one is disputing the fact that we are not on track. The president has said there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Just give us a little time. And gradually Nigerians are getting used to the system. A loaf of bread is still selling as high as 2,000 naira. There are some that are even above 2,000 naira. A plate of, should I say, a noodle of gari before now, you know how it is. Some persons don't even go near it at all. But it's now. People scramble for it. People look for it. Because it's now very, very essential. What are Nigerians saying? No matter what you do, if you want to govern well. Alright? If you've been given the opportunity to assume a leadership position, a political office, either by election or appointment, whichever way, you should know that the people should be the number one priority before you even go accumulating wealth for yourself. We're not saying you shouldn't get what you want to get, as a matter of fact, but then don't do it in a corrupt way. One of the things that has actually put Nigeria in a bad light globally is corruption. I don't know how true it is, but there is this rumor on social media. Of course, the stories on the social media is not confirmed, right? And that's why we make sure we bring to you the national dailies every day of the week, right? Every day of the week, because a lot of stories flying on the social media, which is not supposed to be. And as a matter of fact, if you're not careful, you digest stories that are not true, you act on it, and before you know it, you are contravening the law. So we need to be careful what we see on social media, the way we even interact on social media. A lot of people have turned the social media to be an attacking platform where they go to attack people. See, let me say this. Whatever you write or you put on social media today, it is there forever. And that's why the Blue app will show you these days that your memory several years ago, the Blue app will show you now. They refer to your memory several years ago. Things you posted, pictures you posted, maybe things you wrote. That's to tell you that whatever you do on social media, you need to be very, very careful, because some persons are doing what we call cyberbullying. That's not the essence of it. If you want to say anything about the government, be constructive, so you don't contravene the law, so you don't bully political office holders, so you don't bully your neighbors, people around you, your colleagues in the office, religious leaders, all right? You just need to be very careful the way you use the social media so you don't get yourself into trouble. We have so much going on already, so I don't think it is important for us to still bring more burdens on ourselves, because we just want to belong. We just want to write anything, comment on everything on social media, blaspheming political office holders. We know some of them are not really doing well, but there are constructive ways of criticizing what the government does. Even in your office, if things are not going on well, there are ways these things are being addressed. So what do we have to do? Just keep our fingers crossed. But then, before we get into the national daily for the day, we want to say our condolences go to everyone that their family members were affected in Benue State, those that were beheaded, those that were murdered by allegedly herdsmen. They had a mass burial yesterday, and it was so pathetic. If you watch the video and you watch what happened in Benue State, people were killed, a lot of people were murdered, and that's the issue of insecurity. A harmless Nigerian go to the farm, just to farm, or maybe in your community you're sleeping at night and certain people invade your community and wipe the whole community. This is not Nigeria our forefathers left for us. This is not the Nigeria that we actually negotiated and bargained for and said we want to be independent in 1960, and we got the independent, and now this is what we are facing. We are one Nigerian. I think one thing that must be preached is the unity in diversity. Nigeria is one nation. Forget about the fact that you are speaking Yoruba, the other person is speaking Hausa, the other person is speaking Ibibio, the other person is speaking Ikwere, the other person is speaking Igbo, the other person is speaking Idoma, Igala. Just forget about the tribes and tongues. We are one. If not until we know that Nigeria is one country and made up of one people having flesh and blood running in them, if we begin to talk about this division, then this fight will still continue. All right, because it was so pathetic. I watched that mass burial yesterday in Benue State, and I felt bad. This is Benue State. It's not just this insecurity thing. It's not just in Benue State. It's happening in the north. It's happening in the west. Gets to the east. It's happening. In the east, we heard that people cannot even hold events anymore. You need to pay, do something in form of subscription before you can even go to farm. In the north, in some areas, it's not the best. I think yesterday I was speaking with someone, and we're talking about the fact that the security situation in the country is coming down a little bit. Just for us to hear that there was a massacre in some part of the Dema-speaking area, Zone C area of Benue State, and a lot of people were killed by herdsmen. Yesterday they gave them a mass burial. That's not the country that we negotiated for. I think the authorities need to do something very fast about it. Lives and properties must be protected. That's part of the Constitution, and that's what the people are even asking for. And Nigerians are not asking for too much. Just give us rights to livelihood. We should be able to live in our various communities. All right, the territorial integrity of every community needs to be protected by the security operatives, the law enforcement agencies, the soldiers, the navy officers, the civil defense. This is what we need to do. So the chiefs, the governor, the inspector general of the police, every one of you have been doing very well, but then we need to intensify whatever it is we're doing about insecurity in the country, so that we can have peace. Apart from the challenging economy, people need to go to farm. Look at what is happening today. Part of the hardship is because Nigerians can't go to farm. All right, we have a lot of natural resources that we can harness, but then people can't even go to farm. All right, I think we need to do something very fast. The federal government, the state government, and the local government needs to do something very fast, so that the issue of insecurity will become a thing of the past. Now let's get to a look at the pages of the national dailies, and let's see what the papers are saying. It is Global Morning on Global Television with Ramsey. As a matter of fact, don't forget that today is Saturday, and we are running until 9 o'clock before we bring you all the programs today. But now it's time for us to look at the pages of the national dailies, and I will be after this break. Stay with us. back from of that break. It is still a global morning, this beautiful day, as we look at the pages of the national dailies and see what the papers are saying today. And as a matter of fact, I want to begin with the Punch newspaper this morning, where we have a lot of stories making rounds. And of course, the first one is about President Tinubu ordering the database cleanup as federal government uncovers 6,000 Nigerians with national identity number, that is NIN. Details you can find on page 4. Warri Refinery undergoes maintenance 1 month after resuming operation. Maintenance 1 month after resuming operations. I think this refinery needs to be maintained. That's necessary. But then we're yet to see anything significant coming from the Port Harcourt Refinery and, of course, the Warri Refinery. Though production, what's happening there is not a maximum production yet. Okay, but then it's so good that we even have it running, and that's what Nigerians will say. You're getting little but spending so much on it. I think something needs to be done, but maintenance is very necessary. As a matter of fact, it needs to be maintained so that subsequently we can have it running. My brother has never demanded a kobo for funding my election, Adeleke. My brother has never demanded a kobo for funding my election. Adeleke is the one saying that. Then moving away from there, we still have this big story which says government businessmen back anti-IPOB vigilantes as Southeast violence escalates. Government businessmen back anti-IPOB vigilante as Southeast violence escalates. One rider to that story, and the rider says that states VIPs raise fund to equip vigilante against rampaging gunmen. I think that's good. That's the unity we're talking about here. If there is insecurity in your location, you do everything possible. Like I always say, when it comes to insecurity, it's not just the duty of the government alone. It's not just the government business alone. Individuals, I think I like this, all right, that the states and VIPs are raising funds to equip vigilantes against rampaging gunmen. These gunmen, we don't know where they are coming from, but they are so equipped with very sophisticated weapons. We've heard in the past when people fighting terrorism in the north will come to tell you the kind of weapons the terrorists have. We don't even have it. And this has been an impediment, but then it's so good that the government and of course VIPs, this is what it means to be a VIP, because any VIP that you think you are and you're not contributing to societal growth and development, you're not a VIP yet. So it's so good that we are hearing that VIPs are raising fund to equip vigilantes against rampaging gunmen. That's what it is. That's how to go to fight insecurity in our various communities. If the same thing happens in Benue State, where there were a lot of killing last week, right? This week, the mass burial happened yesterday. If the same thing is happening and the vigilantes are so equipped and they are in the bushes, in the nook and cranny, one very funny thing about these headsmen is that they don't even have a house. You don't know where they stay. You just see them moving around. Hardly you know their location where they stay. They move from one place to the other. So you can't even point to the particular set of headsmen that do these things. Sometimes they do it in form of a guerrilla attack, just attack you without you knowing, and they go their way. But then I think this is a welcome development if this actually happens in the southeast. All right, more headlines is it coming from the Saturday Punch. A Lagos community where Christians, Muslims, traditionalists worship side by side. Okay, then this one says Thames crown Afrobeat's new queen. That's on the entertainment scene. And then this one says Ganusi. That's the kicker. How funerals night remark towards instant social media rave. That's on the Saturday Punch. And finally, from the Saturday Punch this morning, how police bullet shattered Ketra's womb in Ogun State. Well, this is bad. How police bullet shattered Ketra's womb in Ogun State. The issue of stray bullet. There is this video making round where an officer shot a road safety officer, and it wasn't a good scene at all. That incident was not palatable because of the checking of the number plates. I think that is nationwide, because we're even going on an official assignment, myself and the head of programs, and they stopped us on the way, asked questions, because we're using a customized plate number. And what did they do? They just check the papers. Do you have the necessary papers? That was done, and we're asked to go. And we went for our assignment and we returned. So this is very simple. If you have the papers for your plate number or number plate, whatever, you should be able to at least interact with the Federal Road Safety Corps and just tell them what it is, and you'll be allowed to go. There's no need. I don't see any reason for violence. But then, people who carry arms, I don't know, we need to be careful the way we use these arms. These arms is being given to us to protect lives and properties, but then same arms is being used to shatter people. It's so bad that the Ketra's womb was being shattered. All right, we just pray that she doesn't lose her womb completely. All right, let's move away from the Punch newspaper and get to the next paper this morning, which is the Nation's newspaper. And above the nameplate, I have this story: PDP crisis is the kicker. Fury over BOT's backing for Ude Okoye. PDP crisis, that's the kicker. Fury over Board of Trustees backing for Ude Okoye. And just one rider to that story, and the rider says, Southwest legal advisor slam resolution on authentic national secretary. I don't know, but the fight in the People's Democratic Party is becoming just too much. I don't expect it to last like this, from one problem to the other. I don't know why that is happening. This is a political party that we're in power for almost 16 years. But all these things happening, I don't know what it is. But then I think they need to at least a conflict resolution should not be too difficult for the timber and caliber of personalities that we have in the People's Democratic Party. This is one party that has a lot of very prominent people as members. I still remember the former Senate President, David Mack, is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and many other people, people like Bode George. Yeah, these are very prominent politicians. Okay, many more. The governors. What about the former senators and all of that? I think whatever the problem is something that should be settled amicably. If everyone wants to be secretary, I think it can be happening from one person to the other. Yeah, if your tenure is over, you hand over to the next person. But then PDP, the truth is that PDP needs to put their house in order. We're not saying other political parties don't have issues, but that of PDP is becoming something else. That's what it means. All right, that's it. PDP crisis, fury over BOT's backing, of course, for Ude Okoye. Then now to the big story: state creation. Hurdles agitators must scale by deputy speakers. You say hurdles agitators must scale by Deputy Speaker. Just one rider to that story, and the rider says they have till March 5th to fill application gaps. The issue of state creation. I told us before we got started that there is a proposal for the creation of 31 more states in Nigeria, and we're thinking about it. What about the cost of governance? Is our economy stable enough to have 31 more states? The other states that we have running already, how good are they doing? Has anything been done to make them run better than the way they are running right now? Local government autonomy is what we are still battling with. We've not gotten that in earnest. I think the last time we checked, the problem is that the local councils, all right, the local government councils will need to produce 2 years audited accounts by the CBN. That's what CBN is asking for before we can actually credit their accounts directly from the federal government's treasury. They need to have their house put in order, and that's where we are now, creating more 31 states. What would that say about the economy and, of course, the state of the nation? All right, more still coming on your way this morning, but let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll continue with the rest of the newspaper review. Stay with us. So stay with us on Global Morning this beautiful Saturday. It's still back to the national dailies. We're on the nation's newspaper. Before we went on that break, and one story looking at me right here, a very pathetic story, that's on the nation's newspaper, where it says how kidnappers killed lawmaker after collecting 100 million naira from his account. I saw that story yesterday. Myself and some of my colleagues were talking about it. You've collected 100 million naira and you still went ahead to kill the victim? That's bad. That's bad. They were arrested yesterday, and it was meant to understand that all this happened in Asaba. Ines was the one who withdrew the 100 million naira for the kidnappers. Then they also have a herbalist, and the kingpin stays with the herbalist. That's so pathetic. That's where the body of Barrister Azuka was actually found. And a lot of people raise an eyebrow about it. These people are in the communities. They are within us. Please, I think we need to be security conscious, as a matter of fact. But then, if you get vital and useful information, you can disclose to the security operatives without even I don't think the security operatives will go tell the people that you are the one that gave that privileged information. If anything can be done such that people will give such relevant informations are not okay, revealed to the public. It's totally fine. That's one of the ways we can actually curb this insecurity in our nation, because the reason why some persons actually talk about vigilante all the time, because they feel the vigilantes are in the community, they know the people. If you have a fishy character, if you are a thief, whatever it is you're doing, one way or the other, the information may leak to them, and that's it. Whoever that is concerned will be apprehended and made to face the law. That's so unfortunate. This one says, ex-minister Turaki arraigned for adultery and others. Ex-lawmaker arraigned for adultery and others. I don't know, but then I don't need to talk more about that. Ex-minister, that's not good. Ex-minister, I don't know what this will portray I don't know. This is not a good message about Nigeria. Ex-minister, you know, they would have said, okay, Turaki arraigned for adultery and all that, but then ex-minister, that's name alone, all right, that's name, that suffix alone, that prefix, I beg your pardon, that prefix alone is something. So if you are a political office holder, you need, see, this is one thing with being a leader. Once a leader is forever a leader, because especially if you hold a political office, all right, because as it is, if you hold a political office, what it means is that even if you leave the office, all right, even if you leave the office, you will still be referred to as former senator, former president, ex-minister, and all of that. So whatever you do will still rub somehow on the integrity of the country. So we need to be careful as political office holders, whether sitting or former is very important. ICPC arrest former naval chief, NSCDC commandant over alleged 3 billion naira fraud. And finally, from here, I have this one which says benefit of contactless passport application by minister, and that's what it is. And that's all we'll be taken from the Nation's newspaper this morning as we get to the next point of call, which is a Saturday Telegraph. And on the Saturday Telegraph this morning, a federal government launches a contactless passport renewal system in Europe. All right, why not do it in Nigeria? All right, this one says Anambra Agbune Chamber raids 26 kidnappers camp, arrest 67 suspects in 3 weeks. Details on page 27. Then now to the big story on the Saturday Telegraph. Vehicle owners, that's the kicker. While we are not excited by third-party insurance policy, some riders to that story, and the first rider says making claims is time-consuming and tedious. Then the second rider says a policy protects car owners from legal liability. DGNIA is the one saying that. This one just came to my mind. I heard a story yesterday where someone sold his car. The car was sold to someone else, and that person still sold it to another person, meaning it has gone through the hands of about 3 persons. Then, unfortunately, that car was used for robbery. A story I was told yesterday, and of course, the first owner of the car, because a proper change of ownership was not done, the first owner of the car was arrested and he paid dearly. In fact, it wasn't easy. So what am I trying to say? If you're selling your car, please make sure you do a proper change of ownership. It's very important, no matter what it costs. Get to the VIO office, the road safety, the authorities, whoever that needs to do that, they should do a proper change of ownership, all right, so that in case anything happens, you won't be the victim here, all right, because a lot happens in Nigeria. People get into trouble on a daily basis for things they don't even know anything about, and that's why caution is very important. Carefulness is very important. I heard of a case where someone, I think they just had a quarrel. Hold my cloth, I heard yours, and people separated them. Then before you know it, the other person fell down and gave up. The other person now is going in for it. So there is no need to fight at all, because you don't know the state of the other person's health. So if you go fighting, if you go hitting people anyhow, because you are angry, you may end up taking the life of someone. And you know, a murder case is not something to even talk about at all. So we are all Nigerians. We need to love ourselves, work towards nation building, which is very, very important. All right, moving away from there, I'm actually saying this because I just saw vehicle owners, a story about vehicle owners. This one says no expulsion at Warri Refinery, maintenance in progress. NNPC Limited is the one saying that no explosion at Warri Refinery. Whatever you're seeing on social media or any rumor you've heard about an explosion in Warri Refinery, NNPC Limited is saying it is not true. What's happening there is renovation, maintenance, I beg your pardon, is maintenance. NLC US firm signed MOU to build an AI ecosystem across Nigerian varsity. That's good one. Then still from the Saturday Telegraph, this one says a proposal for 30 new states, Falai, Yakase, Wazurike, others disagree as reps fault proposal. Just one writer to that story, lawmakers insist bids haven't met constitutional requirements. The details of that you can actually find on page 2 and 3 of the Saturday Telegraph. Alleged 3 billion naira fraud. ICPC arrest NSCDC Deputy Commandant. Details on page 7. And of course, that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Saturday Telegraph this morning. Let's quickly move to the next paper that we have right here, and that's the Guardian newspaper, the Weekend Guardian. On the big page, I want to take the big story, which is the star story first. El-Rufai Amaechi, party chieftains with axe to grind against APC. El-Rufai Amaechi, that's the kicker. Party chieftains with axe to grind against APC. All right, there is actually a picture, a pictorial insert right there, and the picture story is showing El-Rufai and Amaechi carrying axe moving towards a tree that has the flag of APC. Well, let's see what will happen. I think Nigerians have been saying so much about the fact that the All Progressive Congress doesn't have an opposition right now, because PDP is having issues. They are not even together. How on earth will you ever be able to give the ruling party a run for their money? Where is the check and balance? Nobody is even saying anything constructively right now. The APC is just on an autopilot at the moment. Labour Party, the same thing. Is it an NPP? I don't know. But then, El-Rufai and Amaechi. Alright, well, if you want to get the detail of that story, I don't want to go far. Just pick a copy of the Guardian newspaper and go straight to page 8 and 10 of the Guardian newspaper. In fact, that's the major story on the Guardian this morning. But then more stories are still coming above the nameplate. Soyinka's death and the King's Horseman lights up Sheffield Theatre. Alright. This one says people are concerned with stomach infrastructure and act with emotions. Fahimi is the one saying that. And as a matter of fact, Nigeria unveiled contactless passport renewal system across Europe. I'm thinking of when we'll have the same thing happen in Nigeria. Why Uni Abuja needs more than a firing VC. Okay, that's more like an editorial. You can just pick a copy and go through it for yourself. It is still Global Morning on this beautiful Saturday. Let's quickly get to the next paper, which is The Weekend Trust. On The Weekend Trust this morning, farming is the stupidest thing to do for a retiree. Alhaji Garba Gumel is the one saying that as a retiree. Going to farm, he said, well, I don't know. I think he may have his reason. This is someone that has worked and retired because the person can't work anymore. Then after retirement, you go into farming. It depends on the kind of farming anyway. All right, it depends on the kind of farming. Mechanized farming, it's one. But then, if you are the one handling the hoe and cutlass, then I think I will support this statement. But then if you are doing maybe a mechanical farming where you have machineries, or whether human or mechanical machineries, it's better. You can get people to farm for you because you have the money. You can't do it anymore because of your age as a retiree. But then if you are the one waking up every morning to go to the farm, use the hoe and cutlass to do the digging, the tilling, the planting, the sowing, the harvesting, then it is not a good one for retiree, just like Alhaji Garba Gumel have actually said. Then this one says, why budget lacks transparency? Obi tells Tinubu details on page 23. A day of Lagos exotic meat market. That's still on page 29. Now to the big story. Why VP is yet to occupy new house. Why VP is yet to occupy a new house. All right. You can just pick a copy of The Weekend Trust and go through it for yourself. And right here I have this one which says our position on Lagos Calabar Sokoto Badagry Road. Umahi is the one saying that as the Minister of Works and Housing. One of the things that I've really noticed with this administration is the construction of roads. Even in FCT here, we can see what the Minister of FCT is doing. The transformation, as a matter of fact, apart from the hunger, I think we are seeing a bit of infrastructural development as it has to do with road construction in some parts of the country. And of course, a toll return to the Nasarawa Benue road, and of course they said that's in a bid to pay back the loan that was taken to construct that road. If you remember, that road is the road that they said it's supposed to lead all the way through Benue to other parts of the world, other parts of the country, down to Nigeria, as the case may be. I think I was privileged, okay, to be part of the media crew that supervised when the minister was coming to supervise that project, and it was a fantastic work. And now there is a toll right there. In a bid to get the loan paid. I think one of the things that we've noticed with Umahi is the fact that as soon as he came into office, he hit the ground running by revoking contracts from contractors that have abandoned projects. We saw contractors running back to carry on with different projects that were abandoned before now. The same thing happened in the FCT, and this morning that's what the minister is saying. All right, as a matter of fact, time is up, and of course let me see if I can squeeze in one more paper. Let's quickly look at the Saturday Times, which is going to be the last paper for review this morning. The big story says civil servants drags AGF HOS to court. All right, civil servants drags AGF HOS to court. You can get the details on Saturday Times. Then this one says the federal government moves to scrap 6334 education policy. What is replacing it? This is interesting. You can just go to page 5 and look at it. I think the federal government is more mindful about the fact that people go through the 4 walls of the educational structures, all right, the four walls of the secondary school, the university, the polytechnic, the colleges of education, and they still come out looking for jobs. And I think there is a thought towards tech and skill acquisition right now, and it is a good one. If you can acquire skills, it will do us more good. More headlines this morning from the Saturday Times. This one says, health agencies lament suspension of USAID. United States aid, the activities have actually been suspended by Donald Trump. So much happening. Maybe we'll find time to really talk about the things, an assessment of Donald Trump's days in office so far. We'll talk about that either on Diplomatic Perspective or maybe on Global Morning. Let's just get to know what is happening. Remember that about 3,690 Nigerians were enlisted for deportation following the deportation immigration policy of Donald Trump in assumption of office. And of course, the issue of transgenders and every other persons participating in sports of the other gender it's no longer acceptable in the United States. So many things happening from the United States. This one says former Women Affairs Minister Uju Kennedy Ohaneye ventures into Nollywood. All right. BPP saves 103 billion naira in 5 weeks. That is good to know. And as a matter of fact, this is going to be the last story today. We've not taken possession on proposed 30 new states. We've not taken position yet on the proposed 30 new states. Okay, it is 30. Initially, I thought it is 31, but it is 30 because yesterday some papers reported 31. But this morning, we're getting a clear picture that it is 30 new states. This is coming from the Deputy Speaker. Of course, that is all from the National Dailies this beautiful Saturday morning. I believe we've had a very wonderful time on Global Morning where we're able to at least analyze, review, and have some form of pocket conversations concerning the states of the nation, economic development, and of course bringing to you the necessary information, what the papers are saying this morning. It's good that you get to know all of this before you set out for the day. I want to say you have a beautiful weekend ahead of you, and don't forget that Global Television will be on all through 247 to bring you to speed with news and current affairs every day, every time. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platform at Global Television NG. That's Global TV NG. And of course, you can also drop your comments and reactions on the social media platform. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Many thanks for staying with us this day on Global Morning. Bye-bye for now and have a beautiful day. Global Morning return again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to be resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, as to strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.